Hey traders, John Howell here. This afternoon I've been looking at the futures and some of the forex markets and commodity prices as well. So look at that, some short-term stuff, and I've just been doing some analysis on the overall big picture on the gold chart, and I want to share some things with you that I'm noticing and hopefully gives you an update on what's happening on the at least the short-term picture. Let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, let's get straight into it. So I actually trade, so for you guys that don't know, this is what I trade. Let me bring this over here for a minute. So this list you can see here on the screen is basically what I trade. So the three main currency pairs, the main two forex pairs I trade is AUD and USD and the Euro USD. That's the main two pairs. I don't really trade the Euro JPY. I haven't actually had to trade on that for a while. Now this is intraday trading, okay guys, intraday trading. Then I have silver and gold up here. Crude, I haven't had a trade of crude on for a while. My main market that I trade is the S&P 500. The S&P 500 and really the Nasdaq. These are the two main markets out of all these that I trade. And I'm just watching for. So I have the obviously S&P 500, have the Wall Street there, have the US, the Nasdaq and the Russell as well too. And then I have obviously the Australian market, and then also the DAX. The DAX opens up in the late afternoon my time. So sometimes there's actually really good trades on the DAX. And if I actually show you, let me just give you a trade that I took recently on the DAX. Let's see if I can bring that up. This here was actually my last trade on the DAX, which actually was, I think it was last week or the week before that. So it was within the last few weeks. This is actually a trade that I took. One of the only trades. I think I've only had one trade on the DAX last month, but as you can see, it was a beautiful breakout, and then we had a very nice drop to the downside, and that was a beautiful shorting trade when it comes to the DAX there. So that's obviously, this one here is looking at the 5-minute chart here as well too, traders. So but to me, my trading setup that I use, and again, I'll teach you this trading setup. If you go to johnsfreetraining.com, johnsfreetraining.com, there should be a link in the description. Go over there. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you access to a free training that teaches you all about my trading system. I use this trading system on every market. It's the same thing. Forex, gold, silver, stocks, daily charts, so on and so forth, right? Down into the futures market and so on and so forth. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on some things that I do behind the scenes. I do trade the daily charts and weekly charts, and I have my long-term investing, but I do a lot of short-term trading as well, looking at 1-minute charts, 5-minute charts, and stuff like that. Anyway, so let me bring up the good old chart on gold. This is the gold overall. This is the gold chart here, and I've just been doing some analysis, and I want to share what I'm seeing here right now. So the first thing that I have been looking at is I've been looking at the overall much bigger time frame. So if I go to the 4-hour chart here, okay, the 4-hour chart, and this is where it could be actually quite dangerous. Okay, so what we're getting right now on the 4-hour chart is we've got a very strong move down. Okay, and this is where reading the markets, reading the charts is very powerful. What I mean by that is this. Okay, a strength in a move. Let me make this color say yellow. Look at this here. So if we look at, say, strength, a strong move up is like that, right? That means we've got strong buyers. If we have a strong selling, that means we have strong selling, right? Now, if we go through a very weak buying period, it'll be going up, but see how it's very weak. See how this is like a very that's like my kids, they went to one of the water park themes, right? And the very fast, steep water park water slides. That's what that's like, right? That's strong selling. But this is very weak. See how this is very weak buying here? This is actually quite dangerous, because what can happen a lot of times is that the market has a very strong move down. So if we look at the two buying legs, this is the buying leg here. And if I always like to look at it as of who's winning, right? Who's winning? If we have the two last legs, we have this selling leg here, who's more dominant? Who's like this? Who's more dominant? So if I look at this selling leg, we had a very strong move down. That's the sellers. And then the buyers are trying to come back in, but they're very, very, very weak. Do you see that there? We've got the very sort of slow grind up, not this sort of buying action. So if I looked at the last two legs here, then I would say that the sellers are in control, and the danger of trying to get in here is what can happen is that we break to the downside and then we just keep on falling. We keep on falling through. Okay. Let me actually just give you an example of what I mean here. Of that, actually something happened on the Nasdaq because Spotify and Facebook actually just got hammered today on the market close from their earnings. So if I go to the Nasdaq, I'll share with you an example of what I'm talking about here on the Nasdaq. Okay, so if I go down to the 15-minute chart, look at this here. This is a really good example of what I'm talking about here. Look at this. So we had what? We had a very strong, see how we had a very strong move down, but notice how the buying was very, 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 very weak. See that very weak buying leg up there? And then guess what happened? Sellers came back in and knocked it down. There was actually a trade there that I missed on the open because I was actually watching the actual stocks. So I missed out on a trade there on the shorter time frame charts, such as 1 minute and 2 minute charts. But anyway, see how that works there, right? So if I go back to gold, let's bring this back up to gold here for a minute. And let's go back to that longer term chart that I'm saying is, again, this is all about just really analyzing what's going on and what could possibly be happening very, very, very soon. So I'm looking at this 4-hour chart, and look what we're getting. We're getting a strong move down. So we've got strong sellers and a very, 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 very weak move up. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to break down. No one knows, right? We need to wait for confirmation. Just like the Nasdaq, right? Once again, if I go back to that Nasdaq chart, just so you can see it, right? And even if I just go down to, say, the 5-minute chart here as an example. That's the S&P 500. Let's go to the Nasdaq. All right, so the Nasdaq here. So we look at the 5-minute example, or we could even look at, say, the 2-minute as an example as well too. Right, we squeeze it up, and look at this here. So as an example, you can see, right? You can see what? Look at this here. Notice the angles, right? So the angles is very, 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 very important. We had a strong move down, but then notice we had this is a very, see that steep roller coaster ride, right? It's like, where here we go. And then it's like slowly grind up. See the angle? The angle that's strong down, like fast. See how it just comes all the way down. It's coming down fast. But then on this up leg, it's not like we went straight up, right? It's not like we went straight up like that. We went slow. So that's actually a warning sign. Again, these are advanced stuff as well too, guys. That's the stuff that I use to look at the markets, because I'm always looking, okay, who's in control of these markets? And I'm always looking at the angles. We have a strong move down, then we have a very weak move up. That tells me that if we get a break to the downside, we could be getting ready for more of a flush down. And that's exactly what actually happened on the Nasdaq. I'm using the Nasdaq as an example because it's sharing with me what I'm seeing that's happening with gold, right? And then suddenly look what happened. Yeah, the thing just continued to fall down and just went through the floor, as you can see. So again, that was actually a trade there for me, but I missed it because I was actually watching the actual stock. I was watching Spotify. So let's go back to gold here for a minute. Okay, let me continue on with my lesson on gold. Okay, so this is not a lesson about gold as I'm doing my analysis on gold, but this is just me also teaching you how do you really get an advanced type of movement, right? So with saying that, we're looking at the 4-hour chart here, and as you can see, this 4-hour chart has really also been having a lot of problems around this level here. As you can see, a bit of a double top, but look at the angles. Okay, look at this here. Look at the angles. So you can see we had a strong move down. Notice we're having a very, very, very weak move to the upside. Now, we never know what's going to happen. That's why for me, I always wait for this setup, but then I wait for the breakout. So if we got some sort of a strong breakout like this here on the downside, like that, like that, guess what? That tells me on gold. Now, guys, I'm looking at the short-term analysis, the 4-hour chart, okay? But that tells me with gold that we could be getting ready for quite a significant drop to the downside. Remember, just like what? Just like the Nasdaq. But we never, ever, ever know. We need to wait for the breakout first, and then the follow through should start to happen. And if I'm actually looking at my charts here, I can see on the, let me just squeeze these charts up here, right? I can see on the big picture that there's a few support and resistance levels here. So we have this one here. So what I'll be looking at is, okay, that's that one there. And then also we have, probably a significant level of support down the bottom here as well too. So that'll be the two key areas I'm watching for on gold. Again, guys, this is short-term analysis stuff, but also it's how you, it's this traders, the same analysis I'm doing right now is the exact same analysis I'm looking at when I'm trading the daily charts. Okay, I'm looking at the weekly charts, seeing these, where is the strength, what's happening, you know, and so on and so forth. Exactly. You may have to watch this video a few times. But it's very, 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 very powerful when you start to understand these concepts of angles and also strong down, strong sellers, weak buyers generally equals strong sellers. So we can see that if we start to get a break to the downside, now I'm not saying we're definitely going to. This can easily break up and then go for a big run, right? And then obviously the buyers are back in control. But this is giving you a warning sign that if we do start to break down, and if I go to my hourly chart now. Okay, and let's actually just bring this up like so. If we do start to break down out of here on the hourly chart, guess what? That would tell me that a breakdown, now we're likely to at least probably get back down towards these lows down here on that move there. And there may be even be a trade through there. So that's, as you can see, it's very strong move down and then a very weak move up on that through there. If I go to my 15-minute chart now, you can see how we're just going sideways through here as well too. So the video that obviously this video here is just about me teaching you. This is advanced. Okay, so if you're brand new to the markets, you're like, what the hell is he talking about, right? I understand you may need a bit more training. And again, I'm happy to share that with you. Just again, go to johnsfreetraining.com and I'll share with you the system. But if you really want to start to get really good at these markets, it's important to start identifying patterns that say, okay, something's not right here. Again, just like the Nasdaq. And if I bring up the Nasdaq once again, just so I can remind you, right, based off the 15-minute chart or even the 5-minute chart, right, strong move down. Then we had this very weak move up. And then we started what? We started rolling over. And the reason why this is powerful, traders, because here's the thing. If I'm seeing a strong move down, then a weak move up, and I'm actually waiting for a breakdown, then what I'm doing is then I'm going to be looking at, okay, if we start to have some sort of, you know, support line coming through there, and if we, on the shorter time frame, say 1 minute, if we get a 1 minute break to the downside there, I'll be taking the 1 minute on the 1 minute chart, because the 5 minute is telling me what we now should be rolling over. And then that's when you can start to, you're capitalizing on this big, say 5 or 5, say a 15-minute chart setup or even a 5-minute chart setup. So this is the setup here, but then I'm jumping in early because then on the breakout. So back to gold here for a minute. And then we look at gold here again, just some short-term TA. If we go back to the 4-hour chart, this is where the danger is in gold. If we do start to break up and we start to have a very nice move to the upside, then we could possibly start to see this thing may even start to rise through maybe even the next level of resistance, obviously around that sort of 1830 level there. But this is the danger territory we're seeing right now with gold. If we do break down, then we're probably going to see a lot more downside to come. But again, we just need to wait for the breakout. But in any event, traders, whenever we're trading, we're trying to analyze what's going on, what's happening here, and sometimes and a lot of the times we can start to get these patterns where we have some strength in one leg and very weak in the other leg. It gives us a sign that we may be getting ready for a rollover. So when that happens, we're not, oh my goodness, I was so surprised, gold's dropping, you know, like you're like, okay, well, there's probably a good probability we're going to drop. And when it does happen, you're like, oh, okay, I was expecting that. So hope this helps you out today, traders, and I'll see you in the next video. Traders, I want to invite you to my webinar that I'm running today. And on this webinar, I'm going to share with you all the details to my #1 trading system for the last 17 years and how I only trade 1 hour per day. Plus, also going to be learning the 3 secrets that I had to master over the last 17 years to generate a really good income. If you go to johnsfreetraining.com, or there should be a link in the description, click on that. Go over there right now, register. If you are struggling with the trading right now, I promise you this is going to completely game change, because you're going to understand why you are going backwards and why you're losing money. And then I'm going to teach you exactly what the system I use that gets me a really high % win-loss ratio. So this is what I want you to do right now. Go to johnsfreetraining.com. Go over there, register for my webinar right now today, because you're going to absolutely love it. Or there should be a link in the description. And I look forward to seeing you on the webinar. So go to that right now, and I look forward to seeing you on my next webinar. Go to that right now. Go to johnsfreetraining.com. Go to that right now.